You know what's crazy? People are always in my fucking business, worried about what I'm doing, what Floyd is doing, what Floyd ain't doing, what I do got, what I don't got. Just know, I'm gonna stay in my lane. I ain't gonna fuck with nobody, and I don't want nobody fucking with me. If I go on vacation, my fault.
It all started with a few Instagram posts, some behind the scenes deals, and one of the most influential names in hip hop feeling betrayed. Ever since the legendary Black Mafia family boss, Big Meech, got involved with Rick Ross, and by extension, Floyd Mayweather, there's been a firestorm of rumors, resentment, and outright hostilities. Now, Charleston White has entered the conversation, and he's stirring up even more trouble by insisting that Big Meech and his son, Lil Meech, backstabbed 50 Cent. Meanwhile, Floyd Mayweather seems ready to unleash a world of problems on anyone, threatening his newfound alliance. Will this tug-of-war go beyond talk? Or is someone about to face real consequences?
You come home, I'm gonna put you in a better position. Nigga, for you to go Rick Ross, that's a slap in the face.
As more details emerge, it's getting harder to tell who's looking out for genuine friendship and who's playing a dangerous game. This story is loaded with strong personalities, some of them ex-friends, some sworn enemies, and every last one is trying to win the upper hand. Buckle up, we're about to peel back the layers on how Big Meech's release from prison turned into a whirlwind of alliances, betrayals, and surprise power moves. Before diving into the drama, let's set the stage by looking at Big Meech's history and the legacy of the Black Mafia family, BMF. Coming out of Detroit in the late 1980s and early 1990s, Big Meech, born Demetrius Flannery, rose to infamy for establishing one of the most talked about operations in the nation. Hip-hop culture eventually adopted the BMF name, turning it into a symbol of both hustle and notoriety. Even rappers who never met Big Meech's name dropped him in their lyrics to score some street cred.
That's Lil Meech right there. And if you don't know, he's the son of Big Meech. And if you don't know who that is, well, Big Meech was one of the biggest drug dealers in Detroit, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, long story short, he went in jail. He came out of jail and he started linking up with 50 Cent's ops. Now, bear in mind, 50 Cent made BMF and put Lil Meech on BMF without any acting skills.
Meech's operation stretched across several states, but his downfall was just as dramatic as his rise. He ended up behind bars with a lengthy sentence, effectively disappearing from mainstream conversation for a while. Over the years though, major artists and close friends continued to chant the Free Big Meech mantra, keeping his name somewhat alive. When Meech's son, nicknamed Lil Meech, stepped into the spotlight, he stoked that same mystique. However, there's a huge difference between mystique and real opportunity. Lil Meech was young when his father went away, so by the time Big Meech started talking about an early release, people wondered if the father-son duo could re-establish the BMF brand. Then 50 Cent came along, determined to turn their story into an on-screen success. Little did anyone know how dramatically this collaboration would end, with rumors, accusations, and a tangled web of vendettas.
When you do your research, you find out that there's no paperwork on Big Meech. So if you go do your research, you find out that there's no paperwork on Big Meech. That's why you hadn't seen no paperwork. It's all hearsay. Somebody saying he told, or somebody saying he used Tammy Cowens to set up Cuffy. Well, when you do your research and you look at the court documents that's on Big Meech, you see that Tammy Cowens took the stand and said that she did this on her own accord.
For years, 50 Cent has proven that he's not just a rapper, he's a full-fledged mogul. From music to television, he's always looking for his next big project. When he saw potential in Lil Meech, it was more than just personal interest. He recognized a compelling story in the making. After all, Big Meech and the BMF saga were practically legendary. a well-produced TV series could capture the audience that craved raw, gritty backstories. So 50 stepped in. He invested in Lil Meech, paying for acting classes, giving him a role in the BMF series, and essentially mentoring him on both the entertainment business and the discipline it takes to make it. By most accounts, Lil Meech didn't have any prior acting background. Still, 50 wanted authenticity, and who better to play the part than Big Meech's own son? Behind the scenes, 50 supposedly did more than just put Lil Meech on screen. Stories surfaced of 50 loaning money, covering rehab costs, and generally guiding Lil Meech as a father figure would, especially since the real father, Big Meech, was still in federal prison. It was a bold move, but a potentially lucrative one for everyone involved. BMF the show gained traction, Lil Meech gained fame, and the legendary family name was back in headlines. This time, in a more mainstream Hollywood-approved context. Everything seemed to be going smoothly until Big Meech was granted a sentence reduction. That's when the cracks started to appear. Communication apparently broke down, and 50 Cent, never shy about calling people out, became suspicious that his longtime efforts weren't being repaid with the loyalty he'd expected. One massive red flag, Lil Meech and Big Meech hanging out with people 50 has publicly clashed with, effectively teaming up with the rival camp.
Yeah. What about you and Rick Ross?
It's desperation at the points that you hear things from him at this point. You know, because if you're looking for someone, it ain't that hard to find me. You know, I'm around. And I'm not used to having an altercation with law enforcement. I'm just not used to saying I'm gonna do something to a correctional officer or to a police officer or anyone who's been under oath is gonna say with no problem everything that you've said and everything that's happened immediately after. Like,
the first big sign of trouble came when Big Meech was rumored to have collaborated with Rick Ross to get some quick cash upon his release from prison. If you recall, Rick Ross was one of the earliest mainstream artists to name drop Big Meech, in his music making BMF a huge track that had the streets buzzing. For a while, fans assumed Ross was paying homage. But did he ever line Meech's pockets for using his name and story? That became a hot topic once 50 Cent realized Big Meech was getting cozy with Ross, one of 50's oldest adversaries in hip-hop. The animosity goes way back, sparked by a supposed dirty look backstage, but it evolved into a full-blown rivalry with disses and personal jabs. To see Big Meech, who owed much of his revitalized fame to 50's BMF series, suddenly pop up in photos with Ross felt like a betrayal. 50 had invested millions in the BMF project, effectively taking Lil Meech under his wing. In 50's eyes, if Big Meech needed quick cash, he could have approached 50 instead of hobnobbing with an enemy. But rumor has it Lil Meech squandered a lot of the money 50 had already helped him earn. So when Big Meech got out, he felt compelled to form new alliances to make ends meet. This only made 50 more furious, fueling the suspicion that the Flenoris were just taking advantage of him. Sen is the kind of guy who doesn't hold back. If he feels you've crossed him, he'll call you out, publicly if necessary. Soon, social media posts and interviews featured 50 calling out Big Meech for choosing Rick Ross over him. Some people in the industry took 50's side, arguing that yes, it was disloyal. Others argued that Big Meech was simply free to make money however he could, especially after losing years in prison. Enter Charleston White, a controversial figure known for being outspoken and unpredictable. Charleston frequently appears on podcasts and YouTube channels, sharing candid takes on street culture, prison experiences, and the rap industry. His commentary often irritates people on both sides of any feud because he doesn't seem afraid to step on toes. While discussing the Big Meech situation, Charleston made a few crucial points. First, he emphasized there was zero documented proof. Big Meech had actually cooperated with law enforcement. Allegations that Big Meech snitched circulated heavily on the internet, but no paper trail has emerged to confirm it. Charleston argued that folks shouting "snitch" should show receipts or quit making random claims. Then, Charleston quickly pivoted to 50 Cent's anger, essentially saying 50 had every right to lash out. According to Charleston, 50 gave Lil Meech a platform when nobody else was lining up to do so. He financed acting lessons, bailed him out, of personal troubles and even stepped in as a mentor figure. In Charleston's mind, if you turn around and link up with 50's enemies, particularly Rick Ross and a few others, then you can't be surprised if 50 feels betrayed. Charleston also sided with 50 about the timing of Big Meech's link-up with Ross. Rather than quietly squashing differences or having a grown man conversation, Big Meech appeared in videos that got posted all over social media. This public show of unity with Ross was viewed as an even bigger slap in 50's face. To top it off, Lil Meech was snapping pictures and partying with people 50 can't stand, pouring salt on an open wound. If the Rick Ross partnership wasn't enough, the next surprise was Floyd Mayweather. Seeing Big Meech and Lil Meech hanging out with Floyd, yet another person 50 has famously feuded with, catapulted this entire situation to a new level of drama. But how did 50 and Floyd's fallout start in the first place? Rewind to the early 2010s, when 50 Cent and Floyd Mayweather were practically inseparable. They appeared on magazine covers together and were spotted in VIP sections displaying a brotherly bond. Things changed drastically when Floyd served time for a DV conviction. While he was locked up, he asked 50 to oversee his businesses, including TMT, the money team, and Mayweather Promotions. According to 50, those businesses weren't properly set up. He had to spend around $1 million of his own money just to establish some structure. By the time Floyd returned home, he allegedly refused to repay or match 50's investments. Instead, Floyd claimed 50 was trying to take over, painting himself as the victim. 50, who values loyalty above all else, felt betrayed. From there, a petty war erupted. Floyd called 50 a jealous has-been, while 50 mocked Floyd's reading skills, challenging him to recite a page of a Harry Potter book. The final nail in the coffin came when they both aired each other's dirty laundry, including personal family issues. Their friendship was shattered beyond repair. So imagine 50's reaction when Big Meech and Lil Meech show up alongside Floyd, flashing smiles for Instagram. It was like Lil Meech and Big Meech were deliberately forging alliances with every major rival 50 has. To some observers, it looks like the father-son duo is just trying to stay afloat and secure various sources of income after a rough financial stretch. But to 50, it looks like open disrespect. With so many powerful personalities crashing into each other, it was only a matter of time before someone threw the next punch, metaphorically or literally. Charleston White's public commentary became a focal point, especially when he claimed that Floyd Mayweather had taken offense to his remarks. Charleston openly stated he wouldn't be bullied, no matter who Floyd is or how much money he has. From Charleston's perspective, Floyd is just using Big Meech and Lil Meech to poke at 50 Cent. He speculates that Floyd wants to flaunt his new BMF connections online, partly to show off and partly to irritate 50. Whether that's true or not, the timing of Floyd's hangouts with Big Meech is definitely suspicious, especially considering how close 50 once was to both the Mayweather camp and the Flannery family. Now, rumor has it Floyd might be pulling legal strings to have Charleston White sent back to jail if he keeps stirring the pot. It's hard to confirm whether Floyd is truly taking it that far or if it's just internet chatter. Regardless, Charleston isn't backing down. He keeps granting interviews, repeating that Big Meech and Lil Meech did 50 dirty by linking up with his enemies. Meanwhile, 50 Cent is firing off his own social media blasts. He's posted memes about Rick Ross, referencing how he used to be a correctional officer, something he calls Officer Ricky to this day. He's also singled out Lil Meech, accusing him of indulging in substances, blowing easy money, and aligning with the wrong people. Each jab feels more personal than the last, and there's no indication 50 plans to ease up. The entire hip-hop community has been buzzing about this. Some artists who are close to Big Meech feel he should have given 50 Cent a heads up if he was going to work with Rick Ross or Floyd. Others, like Boozy, point out that Lil Meech might be caught in the middle, loyal to his father, but also appreciative of 50 Cent for changing his life. Boozy saw the Instagram messages between 50 and Lil Meech, where Lil Meech pleaded for understanding, claiming their family, and that Big Meech only went to Ross because he needed money to tide him over. Boozy seemed to think Lil Meech genuinely respects 50, but 50 wasn't hearing any of it. If anything, that exchange only confirmed 50's suspicions that father and son were up to something behind his back. Some fans argue 50 should just let it go. After all, Big Meech is trying to rebuild his life post-prison, and Lil Meech is free to hang with whoever he wants. But if you know 50's history, you know he holds on to grudges with a near-legendary intensity. He's the same guy who kept an ongoing feud with Ja Rule for decades and never misses a chance to mock one-time friend Floyd Mayweather. In the court of public opinion, the situation is messy. People dislike Charleston White for being provocative and in everybody's business. Yet they can't deny that he raises some points about loyalty and betrayal. Big Meech retains widespread admiration for what he accomplished before prison, but some question whether he's repaying 50's generosity with shady moves. Floyd's presence just makes everything more complicated because his beef with 50 is well known and deeply personal. One of the biggest questions is whether Floyd Mayweather is genuinely trying to help Big Meech and Lil Meech or simply capitalizing on the tension. Floyd's known for lavish displays of wealth and sometimes for picking up new friendships that stir controversy. If you think about his timeline, Floyd and 50 were inseparable until they became the worst of enemies. Now he's being photographed with Big Meech, whose biggest champion was 50 until recently. From a strategic angle, befriending Big Meech is a power move for Floyd. Having someone as storied as Meech in your circle not only boosts clout, but also jabs at 50. It sends a message that Floyd has no shortage of allies. And for Big Meech, hooking up with Floyd might be a simple matter of survival. He's fresh out of a long prison stint, looking to stabilize his finances and his reputation. Floyd can provide both money and media coverage, so why not link up? Charleston White suggests Floyd is going so far as to ensure Charleston's comments never get too far out of line, allegedly by leveraging behind-the-scenes pressure. Whether any of that is true remains unverified, but it shows how extreme the drama has become. Everyone is speculating about who's paying who's forging new alliances, and who's just out for revenge. The deeper this goes, the more it becomes a test of loyalty in the hip-hop world. When you have giants like 50 Cent, Floyd Mayweather, and Rick Ross calling the shots, people start picking sides. Lil Meech in particular seems torn. He owes his fame and acting career to 50, but he'll always consider his father's wishes a priority. Big Meech, for his part, seems to respect 50's contribution, but might have felt forced to secure money from any avenue available, even if that avenue was a sworn enemy of 50. It's rare to see so many high-profile feuds fuse into one tangled narrative. Yet here we are, Big Meech fresh from prison, leaning on new connections, Lil Meech trying to navigate fatherly loyalty, and the man who helped him break into entertainment, Rick Ross, extending a hand and maybe stirring the pot, and Floyd Mayweather playing chess in a game that 50 Cent practically wrote the rules for. Will 50 Cent ever bury the hatchet, or is he going to keep exposing D-takes he once kept secret? Out of respect for Big Meech and his family, will Floyd double down and bring Big Meech even deeper into his circle, pushing them all to publicly flaunt their alliance? And what about Charleston White? Will he keep rattling cages or face potential backlash that actually sticks this time? At the center of it all is the question of loyalty versus self-preservation. When you've been locked up for so long, do you turn down an olive branch even if it comes from your friend's worst rival? Or do you follow the money and risk burning bridges you once counted on? Big Meech and Lil Meech have made their choice. 50 Cent is responding the only way he knows how, publicly and aggressively. Meanwhile, Floyd Mayweather stands ready with his resources, taking aim at anyone who dares speak against him or his newfound friends. It's a cautionary tale for anyone in the hip-hop community or beyond. Alliances can shift in an instant. Money can unite or divide, and friendships can disintegrate if the loyalty lines get blurred. At this point, the only sure bet is that each side will do whatever it takes to come out on top. Only time will tell how far they're willing to go, who will ultimately walk away victorious. Stay tuned, because the story of Big Meech, Lil Meech, 50 Cent, Floyd Mayweather, and Charleston White is still unfolding. The next move could come from anywhere: a social media tirade, a surprise interview, or even a legal maneuver behind closed doors. Whatever happens, it's clear that when it comes to controversy, these heavy hitters are just getting started.